Okay. We are ready for chapter 15 here.
Yep.
We will see how many chapters we get through. We have a lot to talk about today.
I'll work on it.
I've never heard someone turn their book pages so loudly.
I'm trying to get to without going too.
I'm just looking at the little green line pop up every time you turn it.
Sorry. I can't find chapter 15.
In case you're wondering what that noise is, it's Emily flipping the pages of her book.
I couldn't find chapter 15.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh my god.
It's been a Monday.
Oh, it's been a minute since I read chapter 15.
Yeah, that's true.
Wait,
we're doing 15? Did we do 15 last time?
Did we already do 15?
I don't know. Did we? What?
I had my bookmark in at page 5, chapter 15.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. Oh my god.
Okay. Chapter 15.
It's nearly been a bit.
It's crazy because it's been so long since I read this, because I read this in preparation for the last episode and then we talked too much. So the first thing I have written down is page 142. How has Rhys kept the city safe, and how did Amarantha not get it? And now, I've read so much more that, I know the answer to that. So
he became her whore.
Right. Oops.
You gotta fuck to keep the peace, apparently.
Oh no! It is the end of a very long workday, and this is.
Anyways, I have some on page 143. It's basically now we know why he was Amarantha's whore.
Right.
I answered my own question, or I answered.
Well, and then I was just I was so confused as I was reading this, because I was like, how did no one spill the beans? How did no one know? And not Amarantha, but how did none of the other High Lords or none of the.
I don't think the High Lords know.
Right. So how though? How did nobody spill the beans? In the city to the other High Lords? I was so.
Well, I think what we read in ACOTAR is that Tamlin was like, no one's been in there, and if they've been in there, they haven't come out.
Oh, that's true.
So it's I don't think anyone's ever gone, and if they've gone, it's only been to the Court of Nightmares.
Also, to explain for those that don't know or haven't read and are just listening to us because we're funny, we are talking about the city of
Velaris, I think. The City of Starlight.
Which is, the City of Starlight. It's a very... Emily's showing off her tits right now because it's on her shirt.
Yeah, I got Velaris on my t-shirt. I just check out the Etsy page. Not ours.
Yeah, we don't have an Etsy page.
Somebody bought this off of. It's very 80s, and I like it.
It is. I like it too.
Anyways,
yeah. The City of Starlight is where they are now. It's this pretty city that was hidden because Rhys is amazing and hid it for Amarantha.
Not necessarily millennia, but for a long time, because he said that 5,000 years. He's it hasn't been breached in 5,000 years. So
and he even kept it from Amarantha, who he was with all the time,
right? And
with his limited powers,
and it wasn't just him. It was definitely other people, other High Lords of the Night Court. Anyways. I have some for 148.
On 147, I said, I was kind of commiserating with Feyre a little bit, because it would be a little bit triggering to see this city of people who just lived their lives while everyone else was dying and terrorized.
Which we later find out that it's everybody in the city knows what happened.
Right.
It's not like they lived under a rock or anything. But I mean, at this point in the book, you're just I'd be pissed off too. I'd be like, excuse me? You let everybody in every single court die or do whatever.
Yeah.
For this one city. Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, I guess that's your place to where you want to be and where you want to not survive, really, but you want to, it's your escape. That's a good word for it, escape. I put that, so on page 148, we at this point we're like in a tiny little house in the middle, not in the middle, but like somewhere in Velaris, which is what we find out to be Reese's home that he goes to quite a bit. And um he basically comes outside and they're like walking the streets and nobody, and she's like panicking. She thinks everyone's gonna cry, and like the how did she word it? The savior or whatever, curse breaker crap. And they don't. They literally just tip their hat or tip their head or like wave hi to him, like acknowledge him, and then just let it go. And I'm like, man, I really enjoy the like anima in a the anonymous feeling of it.
Anonymity.
Yeah, thank you. Anonymity.
And living in an anemone.
Just call me Nemo.
Yeah.
I was going to try it again. I can't do it. Anyways, I really enjoyed that. Like, he's able to be this person and everyone knows who he is. And they're able to, like, treat him as a person and not as a High Lord. And, like, how we witnessed Tamlin being treated like, oh, the High Lord's here. And, like, let's grovel at his feet. Let's cry because he's going to kill me in 3 days if I don't pay my tithe.
Yes.
And we don't tampon, but we don't see that. So that's great. So I really enjoyed that.
Yes.
It's real nice.
So the next thing I had was on page 149. They're talking about, oh wait, why did I say that? Hold on, wait a second.
Is it because he like gripped her face?
Oh yeah, so she's like, maybe it would be a mercy to be ended. So like maybe it would be a mercy to die. Like,
and she's thinking this in her head. It's not like she said this out loud.
Yeah, she's thinking that in her head, and then Reese like grabs her face and is like, "Don't you ever think that? Not for one damn moment." And I'm just like,
you know, if only somebody could read your mind.
Right, like my broken little traumatic soul sighed at that.
I know.
I was just like, oh
your
my
heart
gosh.
flutters. You're like, oh.
Yes.
You're like, yes, this is a character I really enjoy.
Yeah, and the more that I read about him and the more that I see the way that he challenges her, I'm like, yep, I get it. Like,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Tamlin who?
Fuck Tamlin.
I have something on 151. So basically after we hear about her, essentially her victim talk, where it's basically like those victim talks or thoughts really suck, because I think honestly Tamlin was making it all worse, because like I think she could easily not get over, I shouldn't say it like that, but like work through her trauma and like get past those feelings and like kind of evolve from that.
Mm-hmm.
But like with Tamlin, with what he did and how he was doing it, I think he was just making it worse and like was unable for her to get past what she was thinking, because she's like she's talking about how she feels like she has an empty cold hole in her chest. She wasn't sure that she could survive that because it was a strange new body. She doesn't think even with years that she had been away from starvation, that part of her had been full of color and full of light, but then she thinks maybe becoming a fairy had broken it, or even Amarantha had broken it with what she made her do, especially when she had to shove the dagger into the hearts of those two fairies. And it's like, you know, being a victim, not that you want to stay as a victim, but those are like the only thoughts you have.
Yeah.
And those are the only thoughts that you're thinking. So until you have somebody who can challenge those thoughts or change those thoughts, that's how you're going to consistently feel and think. And I think Tamlin was just making it worse.
Yes. Tamlin sucks.
I also want to live in Velaris. That was another.
Yeah. Also on page 151, like at the very top of the page, she was talking about Reese was talking about how they need to keep her mind closed because it's like, you know, they could make you her slave, blah, 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 because they can control minds, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then she goes, I take it that in a potential war with Hybern, the king's armies wouldn't even know to strike here. So what, your pampered people, those who can't shield their minds, they get your protection and don't have to fight while the rest of us will bleed? Like, okay, Farah. Betty,
Honestly.
let's calm down a little bit. Whoa, girl.
Like, calm down.
Yeah.
You're just pissy right now. Like,
yeah.
Just...
And, like, not without
why are you being a bitch?
reason. Like, she has reason to be...
But, I mean, she also doesn't know his reason. And maybe she should talk to him, called communication.
Well, we already know she's not good at that.
Yeah, that's true. 156.
I just, on page 153, was like, really? She's afraid of flying? Like,
oh, yeah.
Like, Reason is going to fly with her, and she's like, I don't know if I want to do that.
I'm out. We're done. Like, get me out of here.
But then I do have something on page 156 as well.
This is the end of chapter 15, and I basically was just like, I really enjoy that we're learning more about him and her thoughts. Now.
Yeah. I was just like, yeah, start talking and healing from that trauma, baby girl.
You deserve it.
So, yeah.
Right. Well, because like at this point, he's like, well, here, I'll tell you like a secret, not a secret, but like something for something else.
Yeah.
Like you tell me something, I'll tell you something. And so like we hear, so we learn that Reese is kind of broken too. He goes, I'm thinking that I spent 50 years locked under the mountain, and I'd sometimes let myself dream of this place, but I never expected to see it again. I'm thinking that I wish I had been the one who slaughtered her. I'm thinking that if war comes, I might be a long while yet before I get to have a night like this. And wait, was that 3 things? Yeah, that was 3 things. So then he's like, well, okay, well, I told you 3 things, like you tell me. And so then she's like going on and talking, like maybe it was some shred of courage or recklessness, or I was so high above everything that no one save Reese and the wind could hear. But I said, I'm thinking that I must have been a fool in love to allow myself to be shown so little of the spring court. I'm thinking there's a great deal of that territory I've never allowed to see or hear about, and maybe I would have lived in ignorance forever like some pet. I'm thinking, and then she stops and thinks again. I'm thinking that I was a lonely, hopeless person, and I might have fallen in love with the first thing that showed me a hint of kindness and safety. And I'm thinking maybe he knew that, maybe not actively, but maybe he wanted to be that person for somebody. And maybe that worked for who I was before. Maybe it doesn't work for who or what I am now. And I was like, true, we all change.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
If you don't learn to change with that person or that relationship, then it's not going to work.
Exactly. And Tamlin does not
care to
for
change
anyone. Yeah, like he's just who he is, and who he is.
He's got to stick to traditions.
Yeah,
the traditions of his previous High Lords.
Listen, I am the least traditional person I've ever met in my life. In fact, sometimes I go against tradition just for the sake of not following a tradition. Like, so that irritates me to no end, and I really like.
You know, I used to sit there and say, I'm all about traditions, but then I realized like my traditions were like kind of family trauma, and I was like, what? This ain't tradition. This is horrible.
Right. So like, yeah, Brittany and I have our new traditions. Like we've created our new traditions as a family, but like my previous traditions from my childhood, like I don't still follow any of those or do any of those because
why would you?
Right. Exactly.
Memories suck.
Yeah. Yeah, they do.
Yep.
That's all I have for chapter 15.
Same. Okay, so on to chapter 16. This was 30 pages long for those who have yet to read this chapter or this wonderful book. 30 pages.
Yeah, it was a very long chapter. But we get to meet some really cool characters.
I know. I'm so excited. Cassie and Azriel, the Bat Boys, are reunited.
Oh my god. Cassie and Azriel, and then Amren.
Ooh, yes. Amren is quite the character.
Who we start to learn more about in later chapters, but I am very interested in Amren.
Yes. But she is so interesting. It's just so mysterious, and you're just like, I want to know more.
Yes, like I want to know her whole story. Sorry, I'm yawning.
You're okay.
Oh, goodness. So I jumped all the way to page 160 before I wrote anything down. I just really like Cassian and Moore's banter and like
Yeah.
their rivalry. It's fun.
It's kind of like siblings.
Yeah, it's fun. I like it.
It's kind of a weird sibling relationship because there's like flirting,
Right.
but it's
Well, especially because like it says
the
Moore,
banter is like siblings, I should say. The
yeah.
relationship is definitely not.
Moore breezed onto the balcony with, "If Cassian's howling, I hope it means Feyre told him to shut his fat mouth." Like they're just so.
Although you'll learn Cassie doesn't shut up.
I'm beginning to learn that, and I later love someone else's banter, and it's interesting. So
It just makes me so happy, and they have a whole book.
yes,
I haven't read that one.
Yeah, we'll be reading that one together.
I put so page 162. There was this is when Amryn comes in. So Moore is like, I want to have you all to myself before Amryn comes and steals you. And then all of a sudden she comes in and she's staring her down like that immense power. And Feyre's like, yep, I know she's definitely not of this world. I know she is definitely something strange and terrifying. And I don't want to be left alone with her. It kind of like talks. And it's like, man, and she's super short because I think she's like 4'9", 5 foot.
Yeah.
If I like read correctly somewhere, and Feyre's like 5'5", 5'7". I want that immense power that she has despite being super short. Like I just want someone to stare at, like to look at me and be like, ugh.
Right?
Like, terrifying.
Oh my gosh. I literally wrote that. I was like, Amryn sounds terrifying, but why do I also feel drawn to her? Like, I feel like I'm really going to like Amryn.
Mhm.
And so far I do. Like everything I've read about her, I really do. But also like, yikes.
The way she talks though, you can tell like she's from a different millennia because she's just like boy, girl. Like,
right?
Like they don't have a name.
Yes.
The next thing I have isn't until 171.
So on 165, I was very interested by this, like the siphons, like the jewels that they have on their hands that help them like siphon their powers, which I was just really interested in that. And I was hoping that they were going to explain more, and then they never really did.
They will.
But like, I found that very interesting. And then page 170, Jesus Christ, the Illyrians and the treatment of their women and like Reese's mom and like,
oh yeah, right.
I was like, Jesus, like I didn't even know like what page even is that, 170. I don't even know that I'd be able to read some of it out loud. Like I was just, holy shit.
They basically clip their wings, and use them for breeding.
Yeah.
Once they start their period, they cut their wings and breed master.
Yeah.
9,000 is what their job title will be after that.
Yeah, it's just ugh.
And if you're like born a bastard, which is what like you find out not all three of them, but Cassie and Azriel are essentially bastards. You'll find out, actually I think they consider Rhys a bastard too because he's not full Illyrian, he's half. But yeah, so you'll find out that the bastard thing is definitely very a word that gets thrown around a lot, and it kind of sets them apart from every other person, and it makes them like they're treated differently. Like they're thrown in the mud, they got to fend for themselves, they have to get whatever they can from other people, and that's why we learn that Cassian is quite the fighter.
Right. So then on page 173, I put they're all like brothers, and then like we find out later that they do call each other brothers. But like, what else did you? What's your next thing?
I basically just said the Illyrian culture seems similar to an actual fabled culture, like Romans or something like that. Not that they were harsh,
but they.
And maybe I'm just getting this from like movies and not actual like real stories, but it's some along the lines of, if like a baby had like a deformity, they would like get rid of them because that was weak.
Yeah.
Women,
I mean, some countries still do that.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, the culture is just survival of the fittest. It's just kind of weird. Not weird, but it just sounds so similar to something that I've researched or read or whatever before. Also, 173, Reese's mom sounds lovely. Like, absolutely lovely and brilliant to boot, because she's like, I don't want your powers to be your only thing. You got to learn how to fight. Kick to the mud. All right, see you later. Have fun at camp.
Right.
Like, that's so smart, though, because, like, yes, he's got powers. He can do shit with his mind without removing his hands. But if something like Amarantha...
Amarantha took most of his powers. Like, he
could
needed
fight.
to know how to fight.
Yeah, so that was...
Yeah.
Good job, Mama Reese.
Also, they're killing me. I've got on page 176, they switch and start talking about Azriel's story instead of Mor and Amren. And I so want to know their stories, which we find out more of Mor's story later. But yeah. I'm sure we'll figure out Amren's. Well, we read some of it, I guess. But
by the end of the book, you'll learn both histories.
Yeah. I want to know now.
Real quick, though. The war that they're talking about, is that the war that was 500 years ago? Is that the war that they're talking about? Or are they talking about, like, one that happened before that? Because I'm just missing, like, when Reese's family died and Tamlin's family died. But, like...
That's the war between the humans and Prithian, right?
See, that's what I was thinking. But then the timeline of it all didn't make sense to me. So then I was thinking, was there another war? Like, am I missing a history lesson that I just, like, completely forgot about?
I think that's the war they're talking about.
Okay. I was just double checking because I was getting real confused for a second. Anyways.
Also, page 177.
Oh, I got something for that one too.
Cassian wants to teach Feyre how to fight.
And then Feyre comes out with, do you think it's going to send a message?
First of all. But, like, I love that this wild, brutal, bastard warrior is like, hey, girl, you just met your new teacher. I got you. Like, it's my favorite. That's how I imagine that scene going down.
That's so true. Because he's like, he might have had like a shitty childhood, but man, he is the comedic relief of this family.
I like him.
Also, like, Feyre, stop feeding into the misogynistic crap that Tamlin told you. Stop it.
Let that go.
Let it go.
So then the next couple things I have wrote down don't have page numbers. I just had thoughts at the end of the chapter.
I have 178, but it's specifically towards Mor. Mor talks about, okay, first off, Mor is a fucking badass, and I absolutely adore her. So after Feyre says, you don't think it sends a bad message if people see me learning to fight, using weapons? She's like, well, I realized the stupidity of them once I said it, but there was silence, and then Mor said with the soft venom that made me understand the High Lord's third had received training of her own in the Court of Nightmares. Let me tell you two things. As someone who has perhaps been in your shoes before, again, a shared bond of anger, of pain throbbed between them all, save for Amren, who was giving me a look dripping with distaste. One, Mor said, you have left the Spring Court. I try not to let the full weight of those words sink in. If that does not send a message for good or bad, then your training will not either. Two, she continued, laying her palm flat on the table. I once lived in a place where the opinion of others mattered. It suffocated me, nearly broke me. You'll understand me, Feyre, when I say that I know what you feel, and I know what they tried to do to you, and that with enough courage you can say to hell with a reputation. You do not love, or you do what you love, what you need. And I'm just like, what? So then we hear Feyre's little banter. Mor would not tell me what to do or tell me what to wear or not wear, and she would not allow me to step aside while she spoke for me. She would not do any of these things that I had so willingly, desperately, and allowed Ianthe to do. And so now she's starting to see, like, well, Mor is actually, like, a really good friend. Like, yes, I would indeed go to dinner with her. I would indeed get to know her. And I'm like, you know what? Mor has the drive and the confidence that baby Emily really craved and really needed in her life. Like,
I feel like
I just love Mor for the fact that she's so confident. I know she's been through her own shit, but, like,
I feel like I agree, and I really like Mor, but I also feel like I really identify with Mor. Obviously, the trauma and things that happened to her did not happen to me, but, like, I do feel like I have trauma, and I feel like I came out the other side of that trauma super confident. If anything, maybe a little cocky. Like, I think sometimes I'm a little overconfident now.
Just a little.
But...
And that's why I'm like, Feyre.
But I
I'm
do
working
think
to
that I'm
get-
a little bit like more. Like,
Yeah, I'm working on up there to get up to my more status. Right now, I'm at the Farah, the self-doubt moment in my life, and that's,
and I wonder if maybe that's why I find Farrah so annoying and like so irritating. Because
how do you feel about me?
yeah, that's because I don't like Emily. No, because it makes me think of me like when I was going through all of that trauma with my ex, and like my ex used to say things to me like, you would be so much prettier if you lost weight, or if you worked out, like just so many things, or I'd be more attracted to you if you weren't so big, like so many things like that. And
I like how like the in thing right now is thick,
yes,
like bigger people.
yeah, I got my confidence back before that was a thing, and now I'm like, motherfucker, I would have been unstoppable in high school and
Honestly.
college and everything if thick was in when I was there, because that was me,
Right? Like I starved myself, and
right, because
I became
being like Twiggy was in,
yeah, like, and I wasn't a twig, but I definitely like lost like weight where it mattered. And then when I started putting on the weight, then it went into the areas that like now officially mattered. I mean, and then I just kept putting on the weight, but I mean, that's besides the point.
oh my gosh. Anyway, I digress. That just makes me mad. So we're still on chapter 16, right?
That was it.
Okay, so I had my like final thoughts for chapter 16. I didn't even write page numbers. I said, so am I imagining the attraction between Azrael and Moore? Because like just some of the things that were said, it's like
there's something happening between
yeah,
them.
Something's going on there. And then I did write down a page number for this one. The King of Hybern is going to try to resurrect Jurian.
I know.
And I'm like, why? Like, I get that he was a great warrior, but like, what does he have that other people don't? Why Jurian specifically? Just to slap people in the face? Like,
maybe. I think
swing their big dick around? Like, I don't.
Woo! I think my favorite moment in this entire book is when we find out it's Jurian, and like Feyre is just sitting there like, oh my god, like these people know him, like knew him, fought with him, blah blah blah. And then Moore's like, oh, he was so odious. It's like Feyre's having like an existential
like
crisis
over here.
Yeah, and then all these like 500-year-old people are like, oh god, I hated him.
Yes.
I stood for what he believed in, but I fucking hated that odious man. It's funny. Anyways.
Yes. Okay. Chapter 17. Wait, should we take a break?
Oh, yeah, probably.
Okay.
Oh.
Break time.
What were we doing?
We were going to talk about our favorite book tropes.
Oh, that's right.
So, it's funny because ACOTAR actually falls into one of my favorite book tropes. I like to call it the Beauty and the Beast, Hades Persephone story, but it's really a Stockholm Syndrome story. It's one of my favorite book tropes because I feel like if some really like attractive royal person, prince, princess, queen, I don't care, came and kidnapped me and took me to their castle and gave me a library, I would be like,
signed, sealed, delivered.
Yep.
I put a ring on it. Here I
am. Hint, babe. Like, no, I basically have a library at our house. Honestly, it's kind of disgusting.
Honestly, it's just so much. My favorite would have to be the enemies to lovers kind of thing, because like even first time reading through this, and Rhys like popped into the scene in the very first book, like at Callan May or Callan Mai, whatever it's called, Callan May. I immediately was like, I like him. Fuck Tamlin, let's get him out. Like, and at this point, I didn't realize that Rhys was going to move in slowly and Tamlin was gonna, like, I didn't see what was happening. But like from the get-go, I was like, nah, man, like Rhys it is. He's the dark brooding type. He's the maybe not, like, he doesn't seem like he has friends or whatever.
He's got like that trickster vibe.
Yeah,
too, like.
Very Loki style. Like, I adore that. And it's just like the banter that I know that like enemies can have, like the shitty hatred towards them, but like the mutual kind of respect. It's like this weird, like awkward feeling, and I love it. And I think that's why why I liked Rhys so much, like going into the first book.
Cassian and Nesta.
Like, I love them.
So I feel like these books fit both of our tropes. First of all, because like Stockholm Syndrome for sure in the first book, Although, fuck Tamlin. Like, I don't like
He is
him.
definitely not the one.
Yeah.
Give me some freedom.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Give me your land.
And then the other book I'm reading lots of books right now, but I'm also reading The North Wind, which just came out this year.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the author's name right this moment, but
I can't read 2 books at once.
I'm reading 3.
No, I can't do that.
But the other one, it's so similar to A Court of Thorns and Roses, except the main character is less, her name is Ren, and I like her a lot more than I like Feyre. But I really have a dislike of Feyre. And it's more Hades and Persephone than it is
Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty and the Beast, because the person that kidnaps her is a god. But it's very interesting so far. Got it from my Once Upon a Book Club book box.
Shout out.
Right. Another book actually fits your trope a little bit is The Enemies to Lovers. It's not fantasy though. It's just
I really like fantasy, but I mean,
it's called The Roughest Draft, I think. And it's about these 2 people that like used to write together and they were friends, and then they had a falling out, and now they hate each other, but they're contracted to write one more book. So they're like writing this book. I'm gonna double check the name.
See, that's my favorite, when you hate each other and you gotta like work with each other and it's like this awkward tension. That's my favorite.
Yes, and then by the end, they get together, but it's so good. And that's not a spoiler. It says that on the back of the book.
There you go.
It is The Roughest Draft by Austin Siegmund Broca and Emily Wibberley. They are married.
Maybe it's about their life.
And so they're married, and they wrote this book. They came up with the idea of this book on like their honeymoon or something.
Kudos.
And then wrote the book together, right?
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really like fantasy too. Why? Because life sucks.
Also, The North Wind is by Alexandria Warwick, just in case anybody's wondering. It's going to be a series with at least 4 books. And that's another way it reminds me of A Court of Thorns and Roses, because you know how you have all this, like the 7 High Lords.
Mm-hmm.
There's the 4 North Winds, and they're brothers, and they're all gods. One of them is the god of frost. One of them is god of spring. One of them is god of summer. So like,
very, very Court of Thorns and Roses.
Yeah, it's very similar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's really it.
Yeah.
Fantasy, enemies to lovers. You don't even have to be lovers. I just like the banter between the enemies. That's probably why I'm such an asshole to Will. Why are you so mean to me? I just love it.
She loves you. That's what it means.
That's what it means.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Therapy session.
I can read just about everything, but fantasy is definitely probably my favorite.
Fantasy catches me more than anything. And if it doesn't catch me, then it's going into the did not finish pile, and I hate doing that.
See, I'm so bad at how long was I reading the last book of the Peregrine series?
A while.
I was reading it for like over a month, and that is unheard of for me.
Yeah, you usually read a book a week.
Yeah, really, really I do. And it was rough.
When you I think after I read these books again, I probably won't read them ever in my entire life, maybe once, but it's just kind of like once you read it and then you read it again, you're like, all right, I know what's going to happen. Like I'm through the whirlwind of this journey. I'm done with it. I'm ready for the next one.
Yeah, I'm like that with some things. One thing that I can read, and I do read every single year. Speaking of traditions, one of my traditions is that every year between Thanksgiving break and Christmas break, I read all 7 Harry Potter books every year.
Mm-hmm.
But I love Harry Potter. Like Harry Potter is life.
There you go.
Okay. That was a long break.
Sorry.
I digressed. Let's go back to chapter 17.
Ooh, I got something on 184.
I just said on 183, like, she's starting to realize that Rhys isn't actually a bad dude and starting to realize his motivations. And
I feel like if anybody knew that and like understood that about him, he wouldn't have such a bad rep.
Right.
But he has...
And she even says that.
Yeah, and I think he said time and time again, like, it does not matter my reputation as long as what I have is cared for.
The people that matter, no, I think is exactly what he says. Like,
so 184. So where am I? Oh. So we talk about like the sacrifice that he made to like protect his people or this or that, and then she has like a nightmare about like what, not necessarily what happened to her, but it's like Amarantha's in it and all of that. My question is, do you think you could have done that sacrifice?
Like kill the two fairies.
Kill the two fairies, but then also do Rhys's sacrifice. So like endure everything that he's ever endured, kill people, do whatever for 50 years to protect his people and hope for the best.
No. I'm selfish. I mean, I think that I could put like, let me rephrase.
Well, hold on. It like nothing will happen to you, especially like with the fairies. You kill them, like you survive. You don't kill them, then you die.
Right.
So like if you're selfish, then yes, you would be able to do that. But if not, then you die. So
I guess
let me rephrase that then.
So Feyre, I definitely think that I could do what she did. That like I think to save like a whole bunch of people. That goes back to the whole train psychology question. Yeah. Like, do you divert the track and kill hundreds of people or let it kill one child? Like
one child versus the hundreds of people that could.
Right.
I think I would sit there and I'd be like, okay, if I do this now, will I be able to stop it in the end? If I can stop it in the end, then I feel like, yes, I can do it. If I can't stop it in the end, then I'd sit there and be like, well, it's not going to end anyway.
Right. But like Rhys's sacrifice, I would say no, I don't think I could do it. But then I think of like Irie, like, and my nieces and nephews and Brittany. And I'm like, well, if I had to endure that just to like to save them that pain, then yeah, I think I could do it.
Okay. I figured as much. I figured your Ravenclawness would think of a different way to think about it, and instead of just, yes, I could do it because I'm a Gryffindor and I could do that, blah, blah, blah. Like no reason behind it, just have it.
Just that noble sacrifice. The hero complex.
Honestly, when I was thinking about it, like if I could do it, I'd be like, well, would it be advantageous for me to do it? Like, what do I get out of it? Like, years of trauma, but like
there's that Slytherin.
Years of trauma, but like am I free? Like am I free? And like where's the stipulation here?
Right.
Where is the fine print I did not catch?
I mean, I guess they knew he existed. It's harder to hide someone that you know exists. But like I guess I feel like I would have found a way to hide myself with them.
Yeah.
Fuck everybody else.
I mean, there's people that will find out in the book, I think at the end of this book, that we'll find out that like they hid in plain sight, but they hid.
Right.
So like it's possible.
It's an interesting question.
I am also an Aquarius and I ask the philosophical questions. So continue. Anyways.
Page 186. I like that he doesn't run from her pain and suffering. Like
that is how you take care of someone.
Yes, and like he talks to her about his traumas to help like her talk about hers. Like, and then like the dream he had about Cassie, so he's holding her hair back. Yeah. He's holding her hair back while she's puking because she had the bad dream or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then he's talking about his bad dream and he's talking about, I have this dream where it's not me stuck under her, but Cassie and her Azrael, and she's pinned their wings to the bed with spikes, and there's nothing I can do to stop it. She's commanded me to watch, and I have no choice but to see how I failed them. And I'm just like, ugh. Like,
you know what's really nice? He never sent any of that over to Feyre.
Right.
Because, like, he's strong enough to where, like, that wouldn't be an option. But, like, I mean, he could be petty and be like, well, look, I'm doing the same thing.
Right. It's just like, you.
Yeah. But that's how you take care of someone dealing with their own demons, Tamlin, you piece of shit.
Right.
You don't just sit there and sleep and snore like it didn't happen and say, well, I'm dealing with my own shit.
Right. You discuss it. You talk about it. Because just holding it all up inside is not going to make anything better. That's how
traditions start.
In fact, like, from experience, I can say bottling things up inside makes you do stupid things. Like, it's not.
Talking it out is healthy.
discussing and talking
whether
about
you want to see a
problems.
therapist or not.
It's important.
Anyways,
Page 188.
same.
What did he not foresee that she would have trouble walking into an underground prison that's inside of a rock?
Okay, I feel bad for saying this. She should have gone in and not gone home. Honestly, but I also think that comes from my coping strategies and skills that I have learned from therapy to like
confront
your demons and
Yeah.
like work through them. Maybe I would be a little bit more sympathetic if like not something similar, but like something traumatic had just happened to me and I'm like still working through that. I'd probably be more sympathetic, but honestly, I just feel like she's being a big baby about it.
I guess I felt like maybe some heads up, and so maybe she could have done it, but like she had no idea until they were walking towards
Oh, that's true.
the prison rock that the prison was underground, and like so maybe
Even
Reese was
inside.
testing her. Like
I think he was, because I mean we found out that he was testing her later on.
Yeah.
But I mean, exposure, if you don't have therapy, that's
yeah, so,
unfortunately the next best option.
right. That's the last thing I had for
Same.
chapter 17. Chapter 17 was pretty short.
I knew you were going to say something about it. I was like, man, I'm going to feel like an asshole.
Only because like I feel like there was no warning. Like they just show up there and he expects her to go underground into a rock.
I guess I thought there was a warning, so maybe. Although just knowing you're going to be in like a scary location like that, I feel like.
Yeah.
I mean, I immediately
something
was
that
like,
can
okay,
hold Amryn in, like.
Right, and
like,
you're terrified of her. Yeah. Whatever. Anyways, chapter 18.
Chapter 18, right off the bat, Amryn brings Feyre an amulet that is how Amryn escaped from the prison in the first place. And I love, like, I just need to know more. I need to know her story. I need to know more about the amulet. I need to know more.
I just feel like Amryn's like, grow a pair.
Well, and Amryn was like, here's this. If you don't bring it back, I'll kill you. Like, which was just like hilarious. And also terrifying. Like, you know, you're going to get it back because you're terrifying shit. Like,
yeah. But like, I get trauma is like making her worried, but, and this one's like 193, but it kind of ties in with everything. So like at this point, they're going into a gigantic rock, down, and like the guards, I guess, are just like mists or like apparitions of some sort. Like they're like, that's just magic. They're not actual people. And then there's, I think every single one of them is like surrounded by rocks. I think you have to be Reese to not unlock, but like open up something.
The doors.
Yeah. But like, I don't know. I get the trauma is making her worried about what's happened before, but it's like she's with the High Lord of the territory. You can't get in without him.
Right.
Like, you're not. I think you're going to get out. Like, I think she's as safe as she's going to get at this point.
No, that makes sense too. But again, she doesn't know that until they get there. Like, at least that we know of. Like, they don't explicitly say that. I also, just jumping back just a little bit, Azriel's family fucking sucks. We hear a little more about his story.
And the bastard that he is.
Yeah, about how his two brothers that were older than him and legitimate sons of his father, like they kept him in a
Act
cell.
as if it's not a legitimate son.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The technical term.
Yeah.
So like they keep him in like a little cell and let him out for an hour. They don't like, then his brothers take him to they want to test his healing powers, like his quick healing powers. And they throw oil and fire on him.
And now his hands are all scarred and mangled.
Yeah, like just, and then the reason I wrote this down was because Feyre asks were his brothers punished, and it says Reese's face was as unfeeling as the rock and wind and sea around us, as he said with lethal quiet, eventually. And I'm like, So Reese punished them?
I think so.
That's what it sounds like, right?
So, side note, when I first read like what these characters looked like, I honestly thought, so Cassian's supposed to have like shaggy black hair. I honestly thought, when I think of like a mysterious shadow kind of person, I think they have long hair.
Yeah.
And so I was sitting there and I was like, Azrael's got like long shoulder length hair that he like hides up and like in a bun or like, you know, half up, half down kind of thing. And then Cassian's the one that's like shaggy hair, but it's short. And I was incorrect. That is not how
I picture them both with long hair. Like, but I definitely picture Azrael with dark long hair.
Yeah, now that I'm like starting to consider Azrael is very similar to like who's that one actor? The one that you said would be great for Reese, but I was like, no, he's better for a different character later on. Aquaman, he played
Jason Momoa.
Yeah. So I think now that I'm starting to see Jason Momoa as Cassian, I'm seeing the long hair.
Yeah.
But like until then, I was like,
I like that.
Yeah. See, yeah, that's why I was like, no.
Yeah, I like that.
No, Reese, no. Jason Momoa is not Reese. He is Cassian to a T.
I like it. Okay.
Anyway, sorry.
You're fine.
I wanted to say that.
Also, and then I just, again, on 193 reiterated, so the prison never lets people go, but Amryn got out with this amulet. How? Like, I just need to know more about her. She's fascinating.
Well, she was brought in under one body, and then she got out.
Different.
Yeah, that's why she was able to come out.
Oh, okay.
So she kind of made that comment.
Okay. That makes sense.
Specifically, I don't know. I can't remember, honestly, and I don't want to say it. Spoilers.
On page 195.
I got 196, so you're good.
We find out that she's actually from another world, and that she was like came into this world through like a crack in the.
Oh yeah, like a crack in the dimension.
Yeah, I like what? I'm so confused by Amryn, but it's so exciting. Like,
and she's the only one of her kind.
Yeah, she's the only one of her kind in this world, and like.
Oh, in this world, I was thinking like in general.
Well, yeah, because we don't know about the other world. There might be more. We don't know. But yeah, like I'm just so fascinated by her, and I need to know more. The next thing I have is also on page 196.
So when so at this point they're already down at to kind of crawl back a bit because you've talked a lot. They're at this prison because they want to talk to somebody called the Bone Carver. Yes. Because he knows a lot. He knows everything, essentially. So Reese wants to confirm his suspicions and get more information from the Bone Carver. So we're down deep into this thing, and we see this person, and so Reese is trying to tell her, like, well, he might look one way to me, but he might look a different way to you. He's kind of a shapeshifter, but not really. To try to prepare her for what she's going to be seeing. And so we don't know what he's seeing, but we see what she's seeing. And he basically is talking about a boy with like black hair and blue eyes, and it's just like a tiny boy, like about 8 or so. And when I first read this, I was like, whoa, that's Reese as a child. But then I realized he has purple eyes. But Farrah has blue eyes.
Ooh.
So then I was just like, oh, he took the appearance of Reese and Farrah's child. I mean, they are mates and all.
Yeah. I like it. But
then we later find out that that he saw Jurian.
Yeah.
Which is like really, really weird because it's like he knows like why you're here.
Right?
He knows it all.
He knows everything, which is so creepy.
Also, we learn a lot about these two.
They bring him a bone, which is gross. I mean, he's the bone carver, so it makes sense, but like it still grosses me out. And not only do they bring him a bone, but it is the bone,
the specific
bone that the worm, the Midgard worm died on from when Feyre made her trap. It's a calf bone or shin bone.
I think it's a calf bone.
Yeah. Ew. Like
femur bone, something, I don't know.
But
yeah, it's like a legitimate
And then he's going to carve it. And I'm like, what is he going to carve it with? His teeth?
Here's the thing, though. He, like, the first words out of his mouth were, like, out of all, like, I've carved all of the gates of all of the inmates here at the prison, but mine is my favorite. And, like, it's a bone thing.
Yeah.
So it's, but then we find out he goes, I'm gonna etch your death into this bone, Farah. And I was like, ooh, that's chilling.
Right?
What if it doesn't come?
Well, no, like her death that she already had.
Oh. I forgot.
She already died once.
I was thinking, like, the future.
Oh.
Like, there's, like, a future death or something like that. And I'm like, well, what if it doesn't come? Like, he sees what could happen. I mean,
that's true. It could have been her future death. We don't really know, I guess.
It didn't.
I just assumed that it meant the death she already had, because that's what they had been talking about.
True. Yeah, but we learn a lot about her. Like, she, like, actually officially starts talking about her trauma to everybody.
And some of it
and Reese was like, oh, shit, I didn't realize how fucked up you were.
Right? Like, oh, God.
Okay, hold on, though. So there's, like, a section where he's like, tell me a secret no one knows, Lord of Night, and I'll tell you mine. It's just such a simple secret, and I just love it, and it's so hilarious. It brings light to the scene, and it's like, my right knee gets a twinge of pain when it rains. And it's like, there's like jokes about how Reese is a cranky old man, and he's just like past his bedtime, and I think it's just perfect.
Yes, I love it. Oh my gosh.
It's just it's so simple, and it's not even a secret. It's just, it's just a thing.
And then before that, like, we kind of realized through Feyre's thoughts that they must have, like, coached her before she got there, because she's like, never lie. That had been Reese's first command, because the boy asks her, are you frightened? Or the bone carver. He looks like a boy to her.
I'm terrified.
And she says yes, because Reese told her never to lie. And, like, you could just see through some of his thoughts that, again, he asked her a question. Where did you go when you died? A question for a question, I replied, as I'd been instructed over breakfast. So, like, they coached her before they went there. Didn't think to tell her that the prison was in a giant fucking rock.
Right.
But, and then she starts talking about how she went into Reese's body and she could see through his eyes. And I'm just curious, like, did he know that? Could he feel her there? They don't really say, but I kind of got the feeling that he did not know that.
Yeah. Maybe not.
And then I had page 199.
Go ahead.
Oh,
I already said his little secret.
Just in shock that, like, the cauldron still exists, and that's how they're going to bring back Jurian, and, like, what?
Oh yeah, and then, like, the feet were cut off, so, like, it's on, like, 3 feet, and the feet were cut off, and they were hidden in temples, and all the temples that we find out that have been being ravaged, I believe in all of the Night Court, have been the temples to where those things are missing.
Yes.
So the King of Hybern is coming back again.
Yes. And then we find out that there is this book called the Book of Breathings that
like 2 halves.
That's been split into 2 halves, and the mortal queens, like the human queens, have 1 half, and the High Lord of Summer has the other half. And if they get the book, then it was always thought to be a myth, because someone who had been remade could control the book.
Yeah.
Or use the book to control,
because it was
cauldron.
Like, I think similar to the cauldron. Like,
the
cauldron made all. So, like, if you were made or reborn, then
if the cauldron.
So there's only 2 people. 3 people actually. We find out that there's 3 people who could hold it, but one has been missing for centuries. Have we gotten to that part yet?
No.
Oh, sorry.
But one of them is Feyre,
and then the other one's Amryn.
Yes. Because they've both been remade into new bodies that they were not born in.
And a third one will be introduced later on in the book. The only problem with reading a story and rereading it. So 201. We're talking about, like, about Feyre and what she's trying to get, like, they were starting to leave, and she's like, no, there's got to be more that I can get out of the bone carver. So she, like, offered up another piece of her, and it said, when Amarantha made me kill those two fairies, if the third hadn't been Tamlin, I would have put the dagger in my own heart at the end. And she's like, I knew there was no coming back from what I had done. And once I broke their curse, once I knew I had saved them, I just wanted enough time to turn the dagger on myself. I only decided I wanted to live when she killed me, and I knew I had not finished whatever it was I had been born to do. I mean, even though, like, as she, you know, died, she still didn't, like, save them yet.
Yeah.
I don't know, actually. She wasn't made yet. She broke the curse, then she died, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. God, what? Anyways, so I said, Feyre definitely has some demons to exercise through therapy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yo. I mean, murder-suicides are, I don't want to say popular, but they are the go-to choice of some people.
Right? Yikes. You think one more chapter? I don't have much for chapter 19.
I don't, but I feel like we're going to be talking a lot.
Oh, well, that's up to you. You want to stop here? We're at 56.
Yep. Let's stop.
Okay.
Let's add another one to the next episode. Anyways, thanks so much for listening.
Yeah.
Go find us on Facebook or Instagram, and our YouTube. I need to start uploading these videos to YouTube if you're going to do that. Anyways, or if you have questions, comments, concerns, or you have book recommendations for us, email us at a quarter witches.
Or break recommendations.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Like, we really struggle with break recommendations. We're going to struggle with the next one, that's for sure.
Yes.
Anyways, go email us and let us know what you want to hear, see, or do. Anyways,
Bye.
bye. I got to pee so bad.